Gamescom 2017 has just happened, and we had that live presentation, that very bold live presentation, where naturally there was a big crash and they had to start again. However, once they started again, I have to say, it's very promising. 3.0 looks like it's going to be excellent. Seamlessly going from space to planet side and back again, burning through the atmosphere, seeing that happen. There's the quests or the missions. We've got the missions. We had Eckhart giving the sort of story-driven mission. We've been told that there's going to be a sort of random modular mission system where there's going to be different parts in different orders, so you're always going to have something new, basically. There were new ships. We had the new Cutlass. We had the Ursa. We had the Nox. There's a lot in there, and a lot of optimizations, we've been told, and a lot of sort of work on the net code and things that you can't see, but you will feel when you're in game. We also had the concept sale for the 600i. Now, just before we get started, I'd just like to say that this has to be my favourite looking ship so far. I wasn't a big fan of the 300i series, I wasn't a big fan of the 890 Jump, but my goodness, if this becomes the style guide for the Origin ships, I'm an Origin fan. I'm telling you that right now. It reminds me of sort of Audis, the McLaren Mercedes car, and that weird little car that was in Gran Turismo a while back. I think it was the Citroen GTR, something like that, the one that had the scoops. I'll try and find a picture and put it in the video. But let's have a little talk about that, and we'll do some comparisons with some other ships that it's competing against. So here we go. The 600i currently comes in two packages. You have the touring package and you have the exploration package. We'll look at what makes those things different in a moment. We'll just look at the hull first, because the hull stays the same in both packages because the ship is modular, which is a nice thing, and I think that holds a lot of promise for the future. A lot of discussions about luxury ships seem to imply that they are toothless, delicate little kind of butterfly ships. However, the 600i does actually have some teeth to it. If it is a butterfly, it's a butterfly that bites. It's like a kind of butterfly-mosquito hybrid. It's got 3 size 5s and 2 remote turrets that both have 2 size 2 guns on. I'm sure there was a better way of wording that. I went with that. It also has size 3 missiles, and it's got about 64 of those. Now, if you've ever flown a Retaliator, you'll know how frustrating it is to fly a ship where you can only control a very small part of the firepower. Granted, it's a very important sort of part of the arsenal, but you can't control the guns. Once those torpedoes are gone, you are absolutely reliant on either other people, AI, or just, I don't know, luck, fate, whatever you want to call it. With the 600i, the pilot is going to have a lot of control over the majority of the firepower, which is good. Now, size 5 guns sound terrifying, but what's the point if you can't bring them to bear? Well, fortunately, the 600i is said to be one of the most agile ships in its kind of size class. Now, this thing is about the same length as a Constellation, give or take, and about double the width. It's also about twice the weight, but we've been told that it is going to be very quick, so that's good. It means that you will be able to get those guns on target if you need to. Now, although it's quick and it's definitely got some guns, it's got some weapons, I'm not entirely convinced that this should be, you shouldn't buy this if you're after a military ship. I'm sure there are better options. I'm sure that whenever the Redeemer comes out of development hell, I'm sure that'll be way more up your street than this, and perhaps even a Cutlass, given the absolutely fantastic state of the rework in the 3.0 demo. But nowhere can I see anything mentioning armor, which is what I'd expect. I imagine that the ship does not take a hit particularly well. We're not looking at something that's going to be, you know, a tank. It's not going to be in the same league as the Terrapin. It does have 2 shields, though. It has 2 size 2 shields. There's some redundancy there, a little bit like in the Warden, just to a much lesser extent. So, the 600i is going to compete in 2 different gameplay areas based on the model that you buy. For the touring version, you're going to be basically up against the Genesis Starliner and the Constellation Phoenix. If you were considering buying a passenger craft or a VIP transport, these 2 might be on your radar. Now, the Genesis Starliner has a lot more flexibility in who it can carry and how. You could fit different modules depending on the job you need to do. It can fit staterooms for luxury VIPs, but it can also fit sort of coach and economy class. So you can adapt your ship to where you are and who you need to transport. However, in terms of armament, the Genesis Starliner, I think, has 1 gun, so you are going to be limited to either staying in very, very safe areas, which might not be as lucrative, or you're going to be hiring protection to take with you if you're going anywhere particularly horrible. So, I think the Genesis, if your sole aim is to ferry people about, I mean, the Genesis style owner is obviously the one that you want. However, the 600i does feel a little bit more like it's more or less in direct competition with the Constellation Phoenix. But I think this comparison is a little bit like the Hornet Ghost to the Sabre. The Ghost is a Hornet that's been altered to be stealthy, the Sabre was built for it. The Phoenix was built to be a hauler and was altered to be luxurious. The 600i was built for luxury, and it shows. In terms of armament, they are more or less the same when it comes to the weapons that are on the actual ship. The Phoenix has smaller weapons overall, but more of them. It has manned turrets rather than unmanned, but it also has the snub fighter to help it deal with smaller threats, which the 600i doesn't have. So the Connie might actually be a little bit better at defending itself than the 600i. In terms of passenger capacity, the Phoenix looks like it's set up to carry 1 or 2 very friendly VIPs. There's 1 bed in there, and there's also a hot tub within view of the bed, I think, which kind of means that you have to be very comfortable with the person you're travelling with. Either way, 1 or 2 tops. The 600i, on the other hand, looks like it can carry maybe 2 or 3. That's not a very big difference, and of course I'm only going off of the concept art. Hopefully the Q&A will clear up exactly how many people that ship can carry. There's not a big difference really. I think it just comes down to preference. I think you do get a little bit more bang for your buck with the Constellation, because the Constellation still has a cargo hold that's bigger than I think 16 SCU, which is on the 600i. It also has that smuggling compartment that comes as basic, and it also has the P-72 Archimedes, which I mentioned earlier. I think you do get, your money goes further with that ship, and also if it is your only ship, then at least you can use it for other stuff while you're not, I don't know, moving virtual Steve Jobs about. Right now it looks like the 600i only has agility in its favour, which, depending on how the VIP missions play out, whether or not they're sort of time sensitive, or you get a bonus for getting someone to their destination quicker than anticipated, remains to be seen. But right now I do think that the versatility of the Phoenix makes it a very, very strong contender in this particular category. So moving on, the 600i does also come as an exploration vessel. So in this class we're going to have a look at the Carrack and the Aquila. Bear in mind that if you are looking for a cheaper, smaller multi-crew ship that's built for exploration, you could have the Freelancer Dirt or the Terrapin. So we've just compared the 600i to the Phoenix, so it feels right to compare it to the Aquila first. RSI modified the Aquila with expanded fuel tanks so that it could compete as an explorer. Unlike the Phoenix, the Aquila does not have a point defense system, and the P-72 becomes a P-52. Both ships come with a rover. The Aquila comes with the Ursa, and the 600i comes with an unseen origin rover. Again, the Constellation has more cargo. Even though the exploration for the 600i raises the cargo capacity to 36, the Aquila boasts 134 SCU, although how much cargo is taken up by the rover remains to be seen. This is a role that neither ship was specifically designed for, but both seem to be fine choices, and the Connie offering more versatility, the 600i offering more agility, and possibly comfort. And finally, I'm not sure if comparing the Carrack to the 600i is fair. It's a Ghost Sabre comparison, but this time in favour of the Carrack. The Carrack is a massive, tough ship packing several modules, a snub, a rover, a huge 1058 SCU cargo bay, and the same number of crew as the 600i. On top of that, the Carrack comes with those weird jump point stabilisation arms, which I'm sure are going to give it even more range than any other exploration ship that doesn't have them. So, with all that in mind, why would you pick the more expensive 600i? Well, if you prefer the aesthetic, if you value the agility, and if as a pilot you want to be pulling the trigger on 3 size 5 guns yourself, well, I personally fall into all 3 of those categories. However, I understand that it's not a ship for everyone. And I think the end result is a ship that's going to remain quite rare. Seeing one is going to be a bit of a treat. They look incredible. I think they're going to perform well. I just think that at the moment, there are other ships that seem to do all of the jobs that this wants to do, either in more depth or just better. So if speed is important to you, if luxury is important to you, if having something a little bit rare is important to you, a little bit special, then maybe this is the ship for you. Hopefully the Q&A will answer some more questions. Maybe I'll do another follow-up video depending on how well this one goes down. In the meantime, I've been Jericho Pliskin. If you don't have an account, I'll leave a link in the bottom to the Star Citizen subreddit's code, referral code randomizer. Please use that. grab a referral code, put it in. It gives you something to. It gives you some extra starting money for the game, and it gives the person whose code you've got extra bonuses depending on how many people they've referred. It's a nice, fair way of doing it. So please do use that. Obviously, if you have a friend that plays, use theirs instead. Right. Well, thanks for listening.